continuing here. So, yeah, when it comes to bad habits like smoking cigarettes, okay, you really, really love to smoke. Well, you've got to have some semblance of self-control so you don't get sick. I mean, you got to remind yourself that you smoke because you enjoy it, and you don't want to get sick, though. Okay, it's not a suicide mission here. Slow suicide. The same thing with anything. I mean, you really, really like donuts. Okay, you've got to just enjoy those few donuts that you get to eat in life, or pie, or pastries of any sort, or candy bars, or cookies, or any other form of junk food, which I think of generally the junkiest food I eat is usually sweets. But then again, some people argue, chocolate has, some benefits, and I would agree that there are some benefits to chocolate, and some foods that, are sweet that taste good, are, like honey is good. How about pure maple syrup? There's other sweeteners. The raisins are very sweet. There's a lot of foods that we could eat that would satisfy that sweet tooth, but we choose to eat the junk because we know it's really what we want, because it's just a lot of different reasons that, so we have to have some control, or otherwise we're going to get sick. I think you can get away with eating more junk food if you eat more of the healthy stuff. I mean, if you're going to eat sugary stuff, you got to make sure you're getting plenty of B complex in your system. So if you're using alcohol, drains B complex. You got to do that in moderation too, and sweets. So you add B complex. You make sure you're eating plenty of eggs, this sort of thing. So, it's a yin yang kind of food. You got to make sure you're not getting too yin. Yin would be like the sweet stuff, the really junky food, and then yang would be like the heavy proteinous food like meats and eggs. I mean, but there's a lot of ways to get your protein. Like I say, I'm not really a meat eater. I could live the rest of my life fine. I have for a vast part of my life without beef, even though I've enjoyed eating beef as much as anybody else, and pork and chicken. But, I found that I could live without these things. And it's for personal reasons, because I don't want to work in a slaughterhouse, and I don't want to make somebody else do my dirty work for me. It's really that simple. Other than that, I would be, fine with, eating hamburgers and sausages and fried chicken all the time. But for me, that's what it is. But, of course, some of that, it's not that healthy either. So, but, their sources of protein are manifold. Okay, eggs are one of the very best. Physiologically, you got the most perfect protein in the smallest amount in an egg. Okay, then you got your fish, then you got your peanut butter, then you got your nuts and seeds and grains. Okay, then you got your dairy products. So there's a whole host of ways that you can get adequate protein. All 8 essential amino acids is what you're really after there. And combining them correctly will give you that 8 essential amino acids. And if you listen to your body like it's a machine, and you're a little bit educated, you'll know when you're on the right track and when you're not on the right track toward increasing your health or decreasing your health. And so that's not only my message to David Knight, but to anybody out there that's struggling with a heart problem. My dad had a heart attack in his 60s, and I know David Knight is in his 60s, so he recovered fine. He lived another 20 plus years after that. So I'm sure, and I hope David Knight is fine and lives a long, long life, because he's a really good, decent dude, I know. This business with the heart, Scripture says that men's hearts will fail them for fear of what is coming upon the whole world at this time. He's talking about the latter days, right before the end of the age. This time when it's darkest before dawn. This is what we're feeling. So this is not only an allegory, a metaphor for the trouble with the heart. It's literal. People are feeling things in that chakra, in that heart zone. And I feel it, and it hurts. It really aches your heart, because God is prodding us and driving us to really fighting this good fight with all of our might. Okay, do whatever we can to extricate ourselves from the maws of these evil monsters that have deceived masses upon masses of people. Misery loves company. They want to drag as many of them down to hell with them as they can. Okay, that's what's going on here. And they've been way too successful for my liking, I got to tell you. So, I watched this True Crime Files show, and I just saw this episode recently. I want to talk about a couple of episodes, but good God almighty. I see this family started this landscape lawn empire, and they one of the brothers was suspected of embezzling out of the business. Turned out he wasn't even. It was just they were getting all these people to invest in the business, and really the books weren't balancing out. And one brother ended up planning the murder of his other brother, who he thought had brought the business down and shamed the whole family. I mean, it just destroyed the whole family over a few bucks. So he hunted his brother down like an animal, and other family members were involved in this scheme. But then he eventually bashed his head in with a mallet, you know, like a heavy hammer, right? Can you imagine, over money? And anybody wants to defend the use of money in perpetuity, that we're going to have to just get used to this thing. We're going to have to get comfortable with money being our paradigm, ruling our lives. This is what these monsters have done to us. Do you understand what they've done for a few bucks? This is what's going on. And you're opposed to a universal basic income? That's your fault. These crimes are your fault. If you're opposed to a universal basic income, I'm telling you. You don't like that. I know you don't like it. I'm sorry, but that's the status. That's thus saith the Lord. This earth is God's. We are all God's property. We are his children. We have a rightful entitlement to share in the earth's bounty and goodies, all the resources, all the accumulated wealth. God created all our foreparents that created all this infrastructure and all this technology, the industrial age. They gave us all this stuff. It's our rightful inheritance that we share in it. So it's not so off the wall to do a Tobin tax on Wall Street. Trades in natural resources all the time. That's not off the wall. They say, well, it's not the government's business. Well, really? Then let's get the government. Let's take the government out of war. No more war. We're going to end the military. Not the government. I'm telling you, that's my opinion, that it's not the government's business. Okay? If you say it's not the government's business to care about the least of men, who is Jesus Christ essentially, and Jesus said, whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of these, you do or fail to do for me. What don't you understand about that? What doesn't a child understand about that statement? Okay, do you understand who you're opposing? You're literally, by opposing a universal basic income, you're opposing the will of God, Jesus Christ. You're saying it's okay that he dies out in the cold because he's weak, and he just couldn't cut the mustard, and I'm going to justify this and rationalize it in my mind so I can cling to my belief systems. Good luck standing before your owner. Remember, you're owned. That's the reality. That's the fact. If you didn't create yourself, if that's a mystery to you, then that's the status. And if you acknowledge that your parents only did what other animals all do, insects do it, then you know they didn't make you. They don't know how to make a human. What the hell do they know? They know how to have sex, but they don't know how to have to make a human. Who does? So it's time to get serious. It's time to take the gloves off. It's time to stop playing tiddlywinks. It's time to play hardball. It's time to get crazy and cut to the chase. Stop playing semantical games while the trajectory just goes downhill. Okay? There's no political solution. Can't you see that? Can't you figure it out? If we don't gain control over the money printing, issuance of currency operation, we the people, the only legitimate government, we've had it. We've got to unify under that common hope. Okay, that's it. That's it. I just don't know anything else to tell anybody. It appears hopeless, but you can't stop fighting the good hope because it looks hopeless. But remember, it always looks that way. The dark is before the dawn. That's it, man. It's just like, wow, is it ever going to get light? I mean, this is awful. I mean, it's freezing now. It's cold, and it's dark, and, is the light ever going to come? Well, it's coming. So that should be encouraging to people that God's will is going to be established on earth. There really is a creator God that laid out the universe and all that is contained therein. And we're a part of this cosmic tapestry for all eternity. Eternity is comprised of but a series of moments. So stop and smell the roses. Enjoy your life. Comfort others. Encourage others with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. As traumatic as it may be, these changes that are coming, yes, they're dramatic and they're profound. These are sea changes that are absolutely unprecedented in all of history that are coming to the earth. That's right, in all of history. That's the degree of change that is coming to this earth, to humanity, the inhabitants of the earth, and we need to get ready for it. That's where our salvation lies, and praying God's will and saying, God, help me be ready and help me to ready other people and wake them up and pull them out of the flames of hell that are lapping at their behind. They don't even know they're on the highway to hell because they're missing the mark just a little bit. They're 99% they're right about everything, but they're wrong about this one thing. But that one thing is going to keep them from the kingdom that is coming to this earth. Okay, the kingdom of heaven, literally, when God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven, what does that mean? It means that we're going to have heaven on earth, imperishable bodies. Everybody that ever lived and died, God's going to reconstitute the atoms and make them infinitely better, to where they're imperishable. And then nothing can harm them, even though they have all their senses of smell and taste and touch and hearing and all that good stuff. I mean, they can't die. It will be like the angels of the air is how it's written. I mean, I want to be in that place. Never a dull moment. Always blissed out. Always happy. Always with people you love and love you around you and doing stuff and playing like children. I want to be there, man. This crap hole? Hell no, man. Thank God we don't have to live in this crap hole forever. Live and let die, right? I get it, man. I get it, but we're not. The good news for the good, decent people is that we don't have to. And the plan that God has is that it's going to get better. There's a point in history when God puts his foot down, basically. Like it's written in the book of Revelations. He's filling this cup with his righteous fury. And it's overflowing now. And people are seeing. That's why there's so much ominous rhetoric out there. And things are so foreboding. And if people don't know, it's like, wow, what's going to happen next in the world scene? I mean, we all know we need dramatic change. How is it going to come? That people are not going to accept being rendered into a third world, fourth world status indefinitely. That they are going to rise up and they're going to revolt. They're going to tell you who's the boss. We the people are. We the people are the bosses of these politicos and the money printers. Okay, that's it. We are the only legitimate government. Okay, that's got to get through these people's heads. We got in Las Vegas, people probably heard this. I saw it on national news that a manicurist that didn't get paid, that she had a runner. Somebody got a manicure and ran out of the shop. So she got in front of the woman's car that was trying to flee, apparently, and she ran her over, killed her for a few bucks. Literally, like $35, I think was the bill. So you're going to defend not having a universal basic income. That's your fault. That's your fault. I'm done. I'm done playing Mr. Nice Guy. Okay? I'm done. That's it. I blame you. If you are opposed to a universal basic income, it's your fault. Okay? It's got to come. We've got to get this cat skin, man. We got to thwart the plans of these evildoers any way we can. We got to do triage on Jesus Christ that's living and dying out in the cold right now. Call yourselves Christians. Call yourselves fiscal conservatives. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, you don't. I talked about the few times that I've at least felt violent. That time I mentioned I didn't even act violent. I was ready. I wanted to get into fisticuffs with that guy down in Vegas. I was picking up my kids, and they went off. They were in the car. They had to witness this whole thing. The guy coming down from his apartment with a baseball bat. I thought maybe he had a gun. I stood there and stood my ground and just, hey, I'm here. I'm telling you who's boss, man. I'm going to oversee the mother of my children, and there, if you got a problem with that, then, we're going to have a problem here. And it was something I wasn't want to call law enforcement over. But anyhow, I never went to blows with this guy, although, I was ready. So in that sense, I was feeling kind of violent and filled with hatred. I was indignant, let's put it that way. I was infuriated at this guy because rumors got to me that this guy was doing weird stuff with my kids and that he wasn't so nice, let's put it mildly, toward their mom. And I kind of wanted, if this was going to provoke hostility in him, I wanted it to happen when he was in arm's length grasp. But he ran away and didn't get a gun, but he got a baseball bat. One hit, he would have had one swing with that bat at me. And let's just put it that way. I would have restrained him until law enforcement got there. Let's put it that way. And he was a bigger man than me, so I'm not being a bully. It's just that every man has that militaristic capability. I mean, just to go nuts. I mean, that's what a man. We're like that. We're protective, and we can nut up. Okay, so it does happen when people get pushed too far. They do things that are very unbecoming, and it's unbecoming. I'm not a violent man. I am a pacifist. I hate violence. I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate violence. To me, that's what a pacifist is. That uses violence as, the last ditch